On this episode of the show, I'm so grateful to be able to share a little bit about my own personal story. I have just been on a week-long retreat with some beautiful, beautiful women who we self-planned it and went and did Kambo with an amazing man who held space for us and did the work with us. And so this episode is a little bit about that journey, what came up for me. If you've never heard about Kambo, please do listen in. It's an amazing, amazing experience. I talk a little bit about that. I talk about surrender. I talk about coming into stillness and how powerful the collective consciousness can be when we really set our intentions and become sovereign in our own beings. So enjoy the show. I look forward to having you listen in. Hello, everybody. It's Carrie Norley on the Wealth Alchemist podcast. And today you get to hear me alone. I'm going to have a bit of a jam. And I realized recently, as I have been looking through some of my podcasts, how I actually very rarely share personal stuff about the stories of that's not true. I do share when I'm talking to other guests, but oftentimes in the interview, it's not about me and my personal stuff. And today I really wanted to share some things that were going on for me and get to allow you to get to know a little bit about my life, how I do things in life, what's coming up for me in life. And I realized that it's something that I love hearing about from people that I follow, that I listen to, that I engage with. And so I'm looking to find ways to bring in more of my own journey into the show. If there's anything, actually, while I'm here, if there's anything you want to know, let me know. Send me a message, reach out to me. I'm really approachable. I love having engagement with you guys. I love knowing who's listening, what you're getting from this, and what you want to know more of. So if there's things you want to know more about from me personally or educationally, please do reach out and let me know on Facebook, Instagram, email me, carrie@carrienorley.com. So that's first of all. So I just wanted to share a little bit from myself, from my own heart. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And so I really want to share about this journey that I've just been on over the last week and a half, but it's taken months to get to this place. And last week I was on a retreat with 8 other women. It was one of the most beautiful weeks of my life. And I really wanted to share about the experience of it. And it started actually simply just because someone had posted, Phoebe Kuhn, who is on another podcast episode. You should definitely go check out. She has a podcast on here probably about 5 episodes ago about human design and marketing. And she was posting one day saying that she had just done a Kambo ceremony. And there's a bunch of us who were like, I want to do that. I want to do that. And so we actually all got together and did it. A bunch of us who knew each other and some who, it was beautiful. It just, part of the whole journey has been even just organizing and getting these, amazingly powerful women who could run retreats on our own and everything to come together into the space and allow into the surrender of what was to be. It was its own journey in of itself. And then when we got there, we were working with a gentleman called Geronimo Redfeather. He is amazing. He will be on here as well. He is phenomenal human being on this planet. And so watch out. I'll eventually interview him to be on the show. But he was this divine masculine experience for all of us to really surrender into. And it takes a heck of a man to be able to hold space for women. And he cooked for us. He did the plant medicines with us. He held space. He kept the space clear. It was so freaking phenomenal. And it was so beautiful for a bunch of women to be able to walk in and just trust and surrender with no plan. A bunch of people who would plan out a retreat with no plan. And the plan was to show up. The plan was to show up and trust and surrender. And so I just want to invite everybody into that too, like into that space of where in your life, and regardless of retreats or not, where in your life are you not showing up in the willingness to trust and surrender that all will go okay? and that all will go perfectly as it's meant to be. And we don't have to plan everything. We don't have to plan everything. And so it was really quite phenomenal that we'd showed up and he cooked for us. And so it would just be like, we'd get up, we would, meet for ceremony. We would move through the day. There was, such a beautiful rhythm and flow to it. And so that in and of itself was such an incredible experience to be with a bunch of women and be in sovereignty. And I think this is such a powerful thing. I think there are so many female women wounds in the sisterhood experience. And I invite you, and it was a really healing experience for me because we all got to show up in a way that was in our true sovereignty. Like each of us were sovereign beings for ourselves. And then we all expected every other person to be a sovereign being. And then we came together and had this collective consciousness. And that's ultimately on a global scale, what would be amazing. And because it worked so well, there was not one bickering moment at all. It was so phenomenal. It was so peaceful. And I wish that it could ripple through the world, because that is what it is. It's like if we all stand and make our own choices and do what's right for ourselves and also consider the collective, the world would be a very different place. So we did that. And some of the really interesting things about Kambo, and I want to talk about Kambo because it's something that I know a lot of people don't know about. It was my second time through a Kambo experience like this. Kambo is a frog poison, and it is collected ethically from the jungle, from the frogs. No frogs are harmed doing this. And ultimately what happens is you burn, I'm showing this for YouTube, but for those of you who are listening, you're gonna have to trust me. On my arm, there are 9 dots where you get burned. And then it sounds horrible, but it's not. It hurts for like half a moment. And then they put the frog poison right onto that burn so that you have direct contact with your direct contact, and it just goes right into your body, right into your bloodstream. And then the frog poison takes effect pretty immediately. And a lot of times what happens is there is a purging effect from this. If you do any research on Kambo, most people who've done it before, who have experienced it, who talk about it, will talk about the fact that one of the reasons you take this is for the purging, for to release what's no longer serving on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level. And it was really beautiful. And I want to share this because this is the power of the collective. This is such the power of the collective. And again, this is another reminder, not only for in this space, right? There was 9 and 10 of us there, but like globally, just consider this. Okay. So with that in mind, that generally speaking, Kambo is quite a purgatory thing. I don't even know if I'm saying that word right. Makes you want to vomit. That Geronimo had said to us before we even got there, you guys, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be so violent. It doesn't have to be so intense. And anyone who's done Kambo will go, huh? Really? But he was very, very adamant about it. And so when we got there, he really held this anchored space for love and for peace. And when I tell you, the first day was the only day. We do these 3 days in a row. You sit in ceremony 3 days in a row for this. And some people will do it over 3 times within a month. If you have it locally, you can do it that way. But we were in circle together for a week. So we did 3 days in a row. And the first day we had somebody who purged, and somebody, because the other way it can purge is the other end. So it came out as poo. Like, I'm trying to say it in nice ways, but you know what we're talking about vomit, we're talking about poo. And that was it. The other 3 days, nobody had any releasing of any form. And some people would say, did it even work? And the whole point for Geronimo, is of course it works. The medicine will always do what the medicine gets to do. And so it was this really amazing experience of, again, this collective consciousness. So he sets the intention that that's what's going to happen. And we all surrender in. Again, another piece of surrender in. If that's what he says will work, then let's see how it works. right? Okay, let's trust him and let's trust the medicine to do what the medicine gets to do without it being violent. And his comment was, and this is something to consider for everything, like how often do we make things into more than they have to be? How often do we create more drama around stuff that doesn't have to be? How often do we create these violent reactions to things when they don't have to be that way? You know, and we talked a lot about the different types of plant medicines that get used right now in the world, and how often it's created as this, like, it has to be something like vomiting and all this stuff. And it's like, does it really? Does it really? And when he questioned us, does it really? We all went, I guess not. Let's try it however it works for us. And for me personally, the impact of that was that I got to experience, for me, one of the things I deal with, and I know I've talked a lot about this throughout the podcast, has been mental health issues, anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff. And especially anxiety for me. My body can feel really intense at certain times and have a lot of, like, I've definitely had many panic attacks in my life and all that kind of stuff. And so my journey lately has been, how can I clear my vessel to feel at peace so that my nervous system, whether I'm like really working my nervous system to be at rest, because all of that, even for me now, like I've eliminated a lot of anxiety in my body and a lot of anxiety in my life, but there's still this, like, I'm going to say this underlying, sometimes like this underlying tingle, right? And all of that stuff within our body can create a disharmony. And when I talk about things like manifestation and bringing it through our body, if there is this disharmony in our body, then it can be a jingle jangle. I'm still at a loss of words for things right now, you guys. It can feel a little bit wobbly to bring in things when the channel isn't clear. So if you think of your body as a channel, we want to keep that as clear as possible to bring the energy through of the manifestation through your body, because your body is the human, is the physical form on this earth that is here to experience the manifestation, right? So if it comes through, we want to see if we can keep it as clear as possible. So that's been my journey for a while, right? Is to clear out all my trauma and anxiety. And it's not, I mean, it's a lifetime's work, right? I want to give you a quick message before we get back into this episode. On this show, we are talking all about raising your vibes and helping you create the wealth and life you desire. One of my all-time favorite tools to support you in this work is the Healy. Healy is a quantum vibrational healing tool that, with a couple touches of a button, has you clearing your energy and raising your vibes. Honestly, there's not really much easier in the world that you can do to raise your vibes. It has been a massive part of my transformation, as well as thousands of others. Truthfully, this podcast probably wouldn't be here without it. If you have pain, sleep issues, headaches, hormonal stuff, food sensitivities, stress, anxiety, depression, the list goes on. I cannot recommend checking this out enough. Medical disclaimer here. This does not treat or cure anything. If you are curious to find out more, please email me at carrie@carrienorley.com. I'm sure that you will be happy that you did. So when I sat the second day, the first day I still had a lot of physical reaction. I didn't vomit, but I still had a lot of physical reaction from Kambo. So the second day when I sat Kambo, and it was peaceful. It was really peaceful. I had almost like I could feel the medicine in my body, but I had very little reaction. And I looked at him afterwards. I mean, like, I got up and danced. Like, if anyone who said Kambo would be like, what, really? We could walk around with it. It was wild. It was wild. Like, it was a really peaceful experience. And it taught me that if my body can have a toxic poison running through it and find peace, where else in my life? And this is true, you guys, this is true for anything and anywhere. And you can bring this in now. This is why I'm having this conversation with you. You don't have to have plant medicine for this experience, okay? So if I can have toxic experience, toxic thing, which isn't, right? It's toxic in the fact, I want to be really clear. It's not toxic like I'm going to be sick from it. It's toxic in a really freaking amazing way to help us heal. Assuming, gosh, there are some words here. We don't need to heal, right? We're already healed. We're already whole, and we're already perfectly amazing as we are, if I want to say even better words for this. But like, to help us to come back into this harmony and into a a clearer and purer state. And so if I can have this frog poison, which again is not necessarily, it's a good thing, right? It creates good things in ourselves. And it can run through my body, and it's supposed to be like this violent experience, and I can be in peace with it. Where else in my life can I have toxic energy coming through my body and I can be at peace with it? Now that goes out to, think about this, your EMFs, stress, conversations, people, being around people's energy that you're like, oh, and you're just like, oh, you walk in, you're like, right? There's so many places in life that there are things that we walk into that energetically can feel really toxic in our body. Sometimes we don't even know why, right? And still feel peace. So I invite you to really consider this. How can you have this energy that doesn't align with your body, move through it, and still have peace? How can you have energy move through you and still have peace? So really consider, like, where is that energy? And again, it was me sitting in this space of allowing this energy to just move, allowing this Kambo to move. Like I said, it wasn't that it wasn't there. I could feel it in my body, right? Just like when you walk into a room and you're like, oh, there's some energy that I don't like the way that it feels. Okay, so how can I sit and be at peace with this and let it move through me, but not affect me? It's a big one. Okay. So that's my first question. And it was a huge experience. And like coming back now, my husband, even like 2 days in, was like, Carrie, you just sound different. Like he wasn't with me. He's like, you sound different. I like this. And so many people have had that reflection for me lately, because since I've been back, because of the softening, because, okay, now I can just sit here and allow stuff to move through and know that I can, like, without a shadow of a doubt. Right. So that was number one. This was another funny thing that happened too. This was another really amazing lesson that I learned this week, that I want to share. So I showed you the dots. If you're on the video, if you're on the podcast, just trust me, there's 9 dots on my arm. And each day you get 3 dots. Different people will do it different ways. Some people will do more, some people will do less. Depends on the practitioner, depends on you, depends on your journey. And for this journey, there was 3 dots each day. And, on the second day, my challenge to myself was, I said to Geronimo, okay, tomorrow when we do this, you get to pick where the dots go. Which for me, because these dots, because your skin is burned, they are, well, for some people, if you have, skin that doesn't scar, you might not have permanent burns. But like, I've had this before 3 or 4 years ago, 4 years ago, I think, 3.5 years ago. And my, like, you can still see it on my skin where I've had my Kambo dots. So I know this will be on my body for quite some time, whether it's permanent or many, many years, whatever. And so I said to him, you can put it wherever you want. And for me, trusting somebody to put something on my body that's going to leave a permanent mark was a really big step into my surrender. And I laughed because the next day I reminded him, I was like, remember, you can put these wherever you want. And I laughed. The first dot he put on was in perfect alignment to the rest of the other things. And I just looked at him and giggled. And he's like, what did you think? Because he's a button pusher. What did you think was going to happen, Carrie? What do you mean? He's like, what did you think was going to happen? You told me what you wanted. And so I'm going to give you the opposite. And I laughed. And at the end of it, I looked at him and I said, you gave me the most beautiful lesson. And I want to share this with you here because it's true whether you've had dots put on your skin or not. I surrendered control. And in surrendering control, it came in perfect alignment. So he finished the dots all in the beautiful pattern that he was already creating. And it was in perfect alignment with the other dots. I surrendered control and it still came in perfect alignment. Hear it again. I surrendered control and it came in perfect alignment. So often in our manifestations and our dreams and what we desire to create in the world, we strangle it and we wish it to be like, and we want to control it. We want to work it and think that we have, like, that it's up to us, right? You must put it here. You can put these dots here. Don't put it that way. Da, 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 da. These perfectionist traits, the overachiever things. I've talked some about this with other people on the podcast. And oftentimes when we do that, it doesn't necessarily work out how we think it's going to work out anyway, right? Things go all over the place. And so it was such a beautiful lesson. Like, if we just let go, everything works out perfectly anyway. Everything works out how it's meant to be anyway. And when there is a divine plan, the plan always works out if we just surrender and let go. And so today I come here and I just share these few stories to say, where are you able to surrender a little bit more, let go a little bit more control, and allow yourself to come into more alignment? Where are you able to let stuff move through your body? You can do it through movement, through dancing, through walking, through breath, through sitting and just letting it move. What are ways that you can move things through your body so they don't get stuck and trapped, and so that you can have peace within? Some really important questions to ask yourself and to really allow space for. Is there anything else I want to say about my journey? I recommend for anyone who's listening, if you are wanting to experience, this is not the first episode I've had on here around plant medicines. I know I'm talking about a frog. It's not a plant. There's another episode with Danielle. I don't know. She's probably in like the 20s, I would say. And we talked about psychedelics and other medicines. And we talked about Babensana. Babensana was something I've done earlier this year too. It's phenomenal. I'm a huge advocate. And not all of them are psychedelic, you guys. Like, that's what I'm saying to you. Kambo isn't, Babensana isn't. There's some really beautiful medicines that you can utilize to really help you to live your best life, to be in your highest vibration, to be in your divine self, to clear out the rubbish that is no longer serving. And I can tell you that from even days later, from the girls that were there, the ladies that were there, all of us are messaging each other like, oh my God, everything, like I'm bursting with love. And heart open, and things are just shifting so amazingly. And so these things can be really amazing tools. And also the story, the message that I'm sharing here today can also be amazing for you to just sit with here and now. And how can you do it even without it? And if you want to do it with it, there are people around. Reach out to me. I can connect you with different people. I can connect you with Geronimo or Danielle. I know other people who are in the industry doing other types of medicines and other ways of working with plants. So they do exist. So if it's interesting to you and you want to know more, please do reach out. And I'm happy to share the love. It's definitely not something that I hold space for. It's not my jam, but it is my jam to use. And and I think that's kind of all I want to share today. I feel really blessed to be alive on this planet at this time. I feel really grateful to be here. And I know part of what came up for me, this other piece was actually a piece on silence and stillness. There's not enough of it in this world. And for me, it took me a lot of retraining over the week to be okay with being in stillness and reminding myself that there's nothing to do right now except for be still. You are okay to be still. And again, you do not need to be on retreat for this. You do not need to be away with women for this. You don't need to be on plant medicine for this. It is still a constant reminder in myself right now. It's okay to be still. It's okay to be still. It's okay to be still. The rewiring of the nervous system. It's okay to be still. It's okay to be still and move through life. It's okay to take time to literally sit and be still. It's okay to walk through nature. It's okay to look at nature. It's okay to be still. It's okay to close your eyes and feel the breeze on your face. It's okay. And if today, right now, you take a moment to just take a few breaths and find stillness, from that place, so much magic can happen. Stillness. There was funny, that pause. So much magic can happen from stillness. And all of us in this time, most of us did not work. And most of us had leads and clients coming in, and we're all telling clients like, wait, you just got to wait. You're just going to have to wait. I'm not talking right now. I'm away. I'm not working. In the stillness without doing anything for it. And we've done much before it in the past. I want to be clear, right? To be in the place where people are showing up for us. But we weren't actively out like looking for clients. In the stillness, magic happens. So I'm hearing my children, they just got home from school. I'm going to wrap this up and say thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing a little bit about my journey and where I've been over this last little while and what I've been integrating and what I will be integrating and how I can bring more stillness into my life every single day. And come even more from a beautiful heart open space. I feel so in love with life and the world and people right now. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for exploring all of these topics with me. Again, if you have any other questions, comments that you want to reach out and let me know, things you want to hear about, please do. I will find ways to bring in more of my own personal journey and my own story. I don't know how yet. If there's something, maybe it'll just be like random one sessions like this that I share a little bit. Thinking about maybe ways that I can bring it on during episodes, even with interviews and things. But yeah, there's just so many amazing things happening in my life. And I realize that sometimes I forget to share all the amazingness and all of my lessons. So that's it for now. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are as you listen to this. I hope that you take a moment to take a few breaths and just sit in that stillness and really take a moment to appreciate all of the amazingness in the world right now. And I know that can be challenging with all of the challenging times going on right now. But if we really look around, there is so much beauty in this world. And the more that we drop into ourselves, the more that we take sovereignty, as I said at the beginning, sovereignty of ourselves so that the collective can shift. That's how this shifts. That's how the world shifts. Taking sovereignty and taking full fucking responsibility for your own self. That's how the world will shift. So if you are wanting to take some more sovereignty in your life, coming up soon, I will be opening doors again. Like we are already on week 5 of the New Wealth from Crypto. I should actually do a whole episode on what's going on in there. It's freaking amazing. We're already on week 5 out of 8 lessons from New Wealth for Crypto. So that will be opening again soon. So if you're interested in learning about decentralized finance and getting safe and stable returns and creating full financial sovereignty, getting yourself like literally you hold all of your money or however much money you choose to invest in this way. Please do reach out to me. I'd love to support you. It's been the most amazing journey. And a part of my journey of sovereignty in my life has been around really looking at the sovereignty in my finances. Our money is a beautiful reflection of so much of our lives. So if that interests you, please do reach out. I'd love to connect with you about it. Otherwise, have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. And I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you love what you heard, please help us get this message out to more people because together we rise. Please review it, subscribe to the show, and share on social media. When you share, please tag me. On Insta, I'm at Carrie Norley, and on Facebook, I'm facebook.com/Carrie Norley1, or Carrie Kaplan Norley is my official name there. Please come and connect with me on social media and say hello. I love hearing from my listeners. And thank you so much for your support. I'm so excited to help you bring in the new wealth.